So today we are learning vocabulary MCQs, editing, composition, as well as current affairs. Now the current affairs picture analysis part, right? That's more of for your oral, okay? And we will answer some questions regarding a picture later. Let's go ahead with the vocabulary MCQ part, okay? So here it says, Mr. O has a passion for driving off-road in Malaysia. During these trips, he tackles muddy gullies and treacherous river crossings regularly. Now, from the second sentence, right, you can kind of guess what off-road actually means. So it literally means driving in places, right, that are not roads, like little dirt paths or little sand paths, that kind of thing, and even crossing rivers. So to go off-road, to drive off-road, you would need a powerful vehicle that can carry you past these obstacles easily. So you would at least need a car that is high up so that the water doesn't go into your engine when the car drives across the water, right? So the word we need to look for over here that has the same meaning as treacherous, okay? I think you guys have revised it. So the answer here is actually dangerous. When we say something is treacherous, all right, it's dangerous, okay? In this context. However, take note that treacherous, right, can be an adjective for someone being very sly or someone being dangerous as well. So it's not just for natural barriers like rivers, that kind of thing. You can call someone a treacherous person as well, which means it's dangerous to have any contact or to have any relationship with that person, that treacherous person, very sly, very cunning. Okay. And then of course over here we have the other options, which we should always think about the meanings as well, so we can acquire the vocabulary. Sheena says, do we need to turn on the camera? All right, it would be best if you could. All right, but I'm not going to force anyone. All right, it would be best if you could, so that I can see that you're in front of the class and that you're listening. So let's like for example, now Varun has his camera on, but I can't see his face. I can only see his I can only see his chair. Okay, there's Varun. Okay, all right, I can see Sheena. Hello, Sheena. All right, hi. And then Dhruv has turned his on as well. Oh, but I can't see the person. I can only see the Golden Bridge of California, San Francisco. Okay. Anyway, welcome. All right. Hi, Nikhil. Welcome to the class. And Galvin as well. Hello. It's quite blurry. Can I see Galvin's forehead? And where's Dexter? Can't see Dexter. Oops. What's happening? All right. I think most people are in. Okay. Anyway, let's continue. So treacherous means dangerous. Can anyone tell me what's the meaning of misleading? Anyone? Anyone at all? Misleading? Well, we often say misleading when something leads you to think, right, in a different direction than the original one that's meant to be the correct one. Okay, so let's say, for example, one day, all right, one day, Sheena comes to meet me, right, Mr. Joel, and then she's like, Mr. Joel, I want to know, right, for my essay, how well did I score? Then I said, I think you scored pretty well, pretty well. Then she now went away very excited. She now was like, oh yes, okay, I think I did well for my essay, woohoo! And then the next day when she receives her essay back, right, she looks at her score and she's like, huh? How come I scored 21 upon 40 only? Mr. Joel, you said I did pretty well. Then, right, I will tell Sheena, I said, Sheena, yes, it's pretty well, right? Because I think you improved from the last time you actually failed, now you got 21. So I think you did pretty well this time. Then Sheena will be like, "Hi, Joe, you're very misleading, you know. What you can't tell me pretty well. You should just tell me I just passed. What do you mean? Oh my goodness. So misleading by telling me pretty well." Okay, so that's kind of like an example, all right, an example only of misleading. All right, so you're either giving like the wrong impression or giving the wrong information, and then you appear misleading. All right. And of course, we know what deceptive means. Deceptive comes from the word deception. It means to fool someone. It means to lie to someone, to bluff that person is deceptive. And frightening, I don't need to explain that because you've learned that in primary school, right? Yes, Dexter, you can draw on my screen to ask questions or to have certain parts that you want to highlight to me, no problem. All right, so there is nothing like finally reaching our destination by the banks of a river, deep in the jungle, and setting up camp for the night. Wow, says Mr. O. All right, I have no idea why Mr. O is being like that. He's asking to be attacked by a wild boar in the jungle or something. But yeah, Mr. O likes it, he enjoys it. Sure, why not? Whatever rocks his boat. Being accustomed to cooking outdoors, everybody in the group will take turns to prepare delicious dinners from scratch. They will then dine and chat under the starry sky, coupled with the background of insect calls. Wow, doesn't that sound great? But you know what? Mr. Draw has never been an outdoors guy. Whenever I go outdoors, right, people say insects. First thing I think about, mosquitoes. It's like, huh? Going outdoors? Mosquitoes? No, thank you. Okay. Anyway, so over here we look at the word accustomed, right? And take note that this word actually begins, all right, with AC, right? But actually comes from the word custom. Okay. So what is accustomed? All right. So the word custom by itself means the behaviors and practices, all right, that people around a certain area normally do. That's what a custom is, right? So custom is the behavior or practices normally associated with the people in a certain area. All right, so it's very generic, right? When I say area, but I'll give you an example. Okay, one day, Varun visits Japan, right? And then when Varun visits his friend, right, he's like, "Hey, Ayataka, I haven't seen you for a long time." Sorry, that's just like a Japanese name I came up with. It's actually the brand of the green tea. But anyway, "Hey, Ayataka, I haven't seen you for a long time," right? And then Varun's like, "Hey, hello, hello, hello." And then Varun, right, unconsciously steps into Ayataka's house, but he immediately, right, gets shouted at, "Hey, Varun, take off your shoes." And everyone's like, oh, am I supposed to do that? Oops. And then he takes off his shoes, right? Because in Japan, it is a custom that when you enter someone's house, especially if that person's floor is made of tatami, which is like the traditional mat they have, right? Then you have to take off your shoes. It's only socks and feet allowed on tatami. Okay, so that's what a custom is, right? A custom. So if you're trying to get accustomed to something, you are trying to fit in with that custom of that place. So basically, it just means, right, trying to get familiar with or familiar with. So the answer for this is definitely C over here, right? It's quite obvious. The answer is C. Trying to get familiar with to a place. All right. Comes from the word custom. So now you know what a custom means. Trying to change yourself to fit the custom of a place. That's why it's called a custom. All right. Of course, in outdoors, there's no one over there. All right. There's no one to teach you what's your behavior supposed to be like, that kind of thing. But your other campmates will teach you what the behavior is supposed to be when you're outdoors. There are a few things you're not supposed to do, especially wandering off by yourself. That's like the entire premise for a horror movie, man. Every time someone goes to a camp, right, and then everybody gathers together, then there'll be one or two guys, and they'll be like, "Oh, I need to go off, right, to one side to go and pee by myself," that kind of thing. And that's when the monster attacks and eats them up, or they get attacked by a wild boar or something. So, yeah, there are definitely customs to adhere and to, you know, follow as well when you're outdoors. Okay, the rest of the answers don't make sense as well, right? Amended means to correct something. All right, so what's there to correct? These people are obviously very experienced because they all know how to take turns to prepare delicious dinners from scratch. It's not that, oh, I'm just going to throw this pre-made meal onto the fire, right? Then it's going to cook by itself. I don't need to prepare anything. They prepare it from scratch. Like literally, they cut the carrots and then they prepare, they season the chicken wings and all that kind of things, right? So they don't need to amend anything. They are experienced people who are outdoors, right? They are experienced campers. Obviously, it's not fixed with as well. They're not fixing anything outdoors. There isn't a mistake to be fixed in the first place. That's what we use fix with for, right? And then it's not addicted to as well. Some of you might have picked D, and I will forgive you if you pick D. But I can't forgive you if you pick A and B because that doesn't make sense as well. Okay, if you pick D, you didn't know. Maybe accustomed means like addiction, right? Like, or maybe they're addicted to something. They're addicted to cooking outdoors. But you know what? This paragraph doesn't actually give you any clues or hints at all that actually tells you they are addicted to cooking outdoors. There isn't a sentence over there that says, Drew loves to do it. Whenever, right, someone says, who's going to start the fire? Drew is the first one to put up his hand and he's like, I love outdoor cooking, right? Outdoor cooking is my life. Without outdoor cooking, right, what's the point of living? I would rather commit suicide, that kind of thing. No, there's no one saying that, right? No one showing you that they are addicted, right, to outdoor cooking. Okay? Varun, who's that in the background that suddenly put a leg up? Like suddenly like appeared out of nowhere in the background. Okay. So that's why the answer here is familiar with. All right. Next. All right, question 3. Mr. O also runs ultra marathons. All right. Ultra marathons are marathons where you don't just run. There's like a change of stuff as well. You go on, after you run a certain distance, then you go on a bicycle, you cycle, then after you swim. After you swim, then maybe you continue running, that kind of thing. And it's normally a very, very long process. So he did an ultra marathon. His badge of honor includes winning the Monster Ultra when he ran the 200-kilometer round island route in 38 hours. Earlier this year, he finished a 100-kilometer race in Hong Kong with a cumulative elevation of 4,800 meters in the mountainous region of Lantau Island, an uphill task for an athlete to accomplish. So route over here, simply, there's no other way to explain it, boys and girls. All right, it's just, route just means the path you're supposed to follow, the trail you're supposed to follow. All right, so route here just means the trail, right? A round island trail, also known as the direction, or rather the whole mapped out route that you are following. Okay, some of you, your dads might be doing that, right? When they go running outside, and then they actually, after they're done running, right, they look at their phone, then their phone will actually show them what route they ran, that kind of thing. Or maybe your mom likes to run as well, they will show it, right? So route just means trail.
No, she doesn't.
She doesn't? Okay.
No.
How about your dad? Does he like to run?
Kind of.
Yeah. And they have like those watches, right? And then the watch will like track, like they're on GPS will track like the route that they took.
You mean like an Apple Watch?
Like an Apple Watch or some other kind. They have a few brands. Yeah. So then they will see, oh, that's my route. I ran from here all the way to here, that kind of thing. Okay. So it's definitely trail. The rest of the words don't make sense. So some of you might have picked like a direction. He ran the 200-kilometer round island direction. Okay. But if you say direction, right, it means he's running in one direction, right, for 200 kilometers, he will end up in another country. He's like, okay, I'm just going to run east all the way, 200 kilometers, go! And he's barreling through trees, he's barreling through HDB blocks, he's bursting past pillars, he's running people down, he's making holes through cars and trucks, that kind of thing, just running in one direction, which doesn't make sense, right? So you can't say direction. All right, and then alley. An alley is like a back street. All right, normally call it an alley. It's where, in Chinatown or Little India or like Geylang Serai, you have those shop houses, right? Then if you go to the back, it's where they put all their garbage and all that, in those garbage trolleys and those garbage dumps right behind. That's that place, right? We call those places alleys. They're normally the back streets, right, of shops and other establishments. We call those places alleys. So this is definitely not an alley. There's not enough alley in the entire Singapore for him to run 200 kilometers. All right. And then last but not least, access doesn't refer to a road or route at all. Access just refers to your ability to enter a place. That's called access, or to